You ever watch a movie or a TV show and you can automatically feel this sense of dread and claustrophobia? Well, that's basically 13 Lives for like 2 hours and 30 minutes. I need to de-stress. What's going on, everyone? James here with another real review, and today we're going to get into all of my spoiler-free thoughts on 13 Lives. A huge thank you to MGM and Prime Video for giving me the chance to watch this early in theaters. Now, it is actually debuting on Prime Video August 5th, so get loud in the comments down below when you see it, and let me know what you think of this movie. Now, again, it is a little over 2 hours long, but it is based on true events that actually unfolded while I was working in local news. And let me tell you, it was intense watching it, but then seeing the film is a whole nother story. It's directed by Ron Howard, a legend of course, and thank goodness that this movie is automatically so much better than Hillbilly Elegy, and it's starring Colin Farrell as John, Viggo Mortensen as Rick, Joel Edgerton as Harry, and even Sahajak Boonthanakit as the governor. Now, I hope I pronounced that correctly. If I'm wrong, I'm so sorry. But guys, this movie, again, based on true events, so you kind of know what's happening, but it is pretty compelling. Before I give you all of my positives and, well, some negatives in this one, if it is your first time here at the channel, welcome to Real James, where I love talking about movies, TV, and all the news in between. So if you do too, go ahead and hit the big red button below, subscribe to the channel, tap on the bell, and hit the thumbs up button for more reviews just like this, you guys. I cannot wait. Next week is going to be so much fun. Actually, every week into August is going to be insane in a good way. And guys, let me know again down below in the comments what you think of the movie when you see it. So you know what? If you don't know much about this true story, let's get into it. 13 Lives is all about the true events of the Wild Boars football team in Thailand that was trapped in a cave for several days with little to no hope for survival. That's until a group of volunteer rescue divers gathered together to try and do the impossible: rescue 12 boys and their coach before another major monsoon hits. And y'all, I didn't know how much it rained in Thailand, but apparently it rains just as much as it does in the movie. But guys, now let's get into my positives and talk all about why this movie is pretty darn gripping and compelling. And it starts with the actual filmmaking by Ron Howard and his crew. The cinematography in and out of the caves, the different angles that Ron Howard was able to get, and oh my goodness, this claustrophobic feel all added to the experience. I mean, there were so many scenes that were anxiety inducing. I felt my heart rate increase, my breathing was a bit more shallow, and just immersing myself into this experience inside of a theater was just unreal, unlike a lot of different experiences I've had in 2022. And a huge kudos to the sound design, because it was incredible in this movie. Between the sloshing of the water in the cave, on the walls, on the scuba divers and their oxygen tanks clanging against the water, and even the breathing for these divers and those that they rescue, whether it be calm breaths, if they're worried you start to hear them breathe really quickly, it all just sort of is the cherry on top, because I do think it was a make or break. If the sound design was bad, I think 13 Lives would not have been as good of a movie as it was, but if it was great, which it was, it just adds to that experience. And one thing that I thought was a really good creative touch in this film was that it was split between English and the native Thai language. It adds a lot of authenticity in this movie, because it could have been so easy for Ron Howard to say, you know what, we're just going to put the whole movie in English. But they don't do that. Of course, the English divers, literally the English divers from the UK, were speaking in English, and then you had one from Australia, so they were all speaking in English, but it was the Thai people, the government, the citizens, and even those outside of Thailand that were there for this event, they were speaking in their native language. So yes, there are subtitles on the bottom, but I love that, and I love when filmmakers decide to do that, because it captures the slice of life within that country at that time. But even outside of all of the technical aspects, I want to talk about the acting, because this is the first time in a little while that I can tell you the supporting cast was even better than the leads. And some standouts for me were these actors, starting with Teradan Supapunpino, who plays Coach Ek. He is the coach of the Wild Boars football team. Now, these are young kids, like 9, 10, 11, 12-year-olds, and he had to essentially keep them calm. But in the small moments that we get this coach on screen, it is powerful. It actually helped me as an audience member to calm down my breathing. So a huge bit of praise should go to this acting performance. Even though it's in a supporting role, it just really helps the movie. And then you have the kids as an ensemble together. They were awesome. Yes, they're child actors, but they did an incredible job at capturing the moment, all of the emotion, and every bit of anxiety in the cave. I mean, my goodness. And then you have one actor who we mentioned a little bit earlier, Sahajak Boonthanakit, who plays the governor in Thailand at the time, Governor Narongsak. Oh my goodness, this guy was both composed, he was stoic, but then there were little moments where you start to see his eyes tell a story. And he is incredibly worried, like he goes from politician to human being to politician very quickly, and these transitions add to the film, especially in the third act. So yeah, again, the supporting cast was really good, but you're probably wondering what the heck, what about the lead actors, because this cast is stacked. And I'm happy to at least say that the acting got better overall from our leads as the movie went on. There was just so much more for these already established actors to chew on. I mean, Colin Farrell, for goodness sakes, is a legend, and he plays John, one of the rescue divers, and I like that he is the complete opposite of Viggo Mortensen's character here, who plays Rick. So Viggo Mortensen, great. Colin Farrell, amazing, but in the movie they play two different people. Like, Rick is very, very pessimistic and John is optimistic. So he knows that, hey, there's something here, we can rescue these boys, and Rick is like, I don't know, I might die. And honestly, I might have sided with Rick just a little bit there, because when you get in the cave, you start to see what I'm talking about and what he's talking about. But I loved both of their performances, and they did such a good job here, and they, in a way, elevated the movie. And then you even have Joel Edgerton, who plays Dr. Harry, and he is just... Sometimes I look at Joel Edgerton and I'm like, dude, what can't he do? Because he is such a versatile actor, and here they didn't call on him to do much, but what they did call on him to do, he excelled at. I mean, goodness gracious, there are some scenes in this cave, guys, where you can just tell that this man is very worried, but he knows that this is the last ditch effort to save these boys and their coach. And the last positive I have before we get into my negatives is this: I really did grow to love the structure of the story and the perspective the movie assumed. So at first, it didn't sell me on that at all, guys. I was frustrated. Why did we not see these boys there, this team, get trapped in the cave? Why are you going to cut away and then we learn that they're trapped, of course, via a news report, and then the town starts talking, and then the divers come in, and then just then we see the boys. We see them when they're already in the cave fighting for survival, but we don't see them getting trapped. And I kind of like that, actually, because the approach that director Ron Howard took was, I don't want this movie to be just inside the cave from the perspective of the boys. We kind of know that after all the news articles and everything that was put out there. I want to talk about the perspective from the government, the people, and the divers. And what that does is it adds a level of grounded realism to the movie, and it doesn't allow itself to get too big for its own good. Yeah, it would have been easy to have these overly dramatic, melodramatic moments in the cave where the boys get trapped, and it would have really distracted from the movie, but the core message of this is a sense of community, people who thought the impossible couldn't be done, and then that was turned into the possible when they were rescued. So, just so cool. However, the movie is not all the way perfect through and through. There are some things that hold it back from being great, and it begins with this, you guys. The movie really overstays its welcome, especially in the second half. There are many moments where the film begins to drag along. I did feel like maybe they could have cut out a little bit in the middle, but for the most part, I felt the movie just kind of lasted a little bit too long. If they would have just done with a bit more urgency in the middle, it would have made the back half feel maybe less stuffy. Again, I get it, but at the same time, it didn't always work for me. And then when it comes from the acting itself, while I did say that I grew to appreciate the performances of our leads, I want to be honest with you guys. I do feel like a lot of our leads, all things considered, they were really reserved. The acting from our leads really did leave little to be desired for the majority of the film, because maybe it was a direction issue. I just felt that Colin Farrell, Viggo Mortensen, and those leads surrounding them were just being incredibly conservative. It really was in the supporting cast where you found more of that emotion, the drama, the realistic reactions to these moments. But I don't know why. Colin Farrell and them, like, I know they can bring it, but there were many times where I thought to myself, no, turn it up another notch. Get out of the first gear here. Come on. But overall, you guys, that is not enough for me to tell you that this was not a movie that I recommend. 13 Lives is a film that I surprisingly enjoyed much more than I expected to. I felt the direction was solid, the story is gripping and compelling, and maybe I am a little bit biased because I actually was in news when this happened, so I understood that there's probably much more to the story that I don't know, and this film sort of explored that. But I thought that the movie was okay to good to even great in some instances, especially when it comes to the filmmaking. The cinematography was beautiful, the sound design was excellent, and the supporting cast was really strong. So this is a movie that, boy, it is a gem on Prime Video this week, or technically next week, but I do think you should watch it, guys. It is one of those films that if you need something to, I guess, get your heart rate up, well, this is it. So there you have it, you guys. That's my real review of 13 Lives. Again, a movie that encourages me never to go cave diving. Seriously, you're not finding me in any cave anytime soon. But guys, if you enjoyed all of that, go ahead and hit the big red button below again and subscribe to the channel. Tap on the bell and hit the thumbs up button. And let me know in the comments if you agree with me, if you disagree with me, or if you're right down the middle. And hey, again, we have a lot of reviews and content coming down the pipeline. There's so much happening, guys. There's so much. And I'm starting to learn that y'all love the Dragon Prince just as much as I do. Alrighty, again, guys, thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you at the next screening.